Some of the environmental trends that are disturbing scientists are hard to notice, but others are far less subtle.
The average number of Category 4 and 5 hurricanes that we see each year globally has nearly doubled in the last 30 years. We're seeing more forest fires. We're seeing Greenland melting faster than we thought, West Antarctic melting faster than we thought. That's all bad news, and it is all happening at once.
Add it all up, and scientists agree that what we are seeing is the beginning of a planetary climate shift that has potentially dire consequences for life on Earth.
Global warming is a misnomer. Climate change now is used because it's not just the rise in temperatures, it's everything else around it. The more powerful windstorms, extreme precipitation events, more flooding, sea level rise, everything else. It's not just warming, it's this whole portfolio of hazardous phenomena that we're going to have to face.
Every top accredited scientific institution, from the EPA to the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change to the National Academies of Science and even the Pentagon, agree on three things. 1, climate change is real. 2, we humans are spurring it on. And 3, left unchecked, it has the potential to escalate into the largest global catastrophe mankind has ever known.
Scientists can never be certain. That's one of our weaknesses, as you well know. But the probability of this changing the Earth beyond recognition is so high that any practical, reasonable person would treat it as if it were a certainty.
I think this threat of human-induced global warming is largely manufactured. I don't think it is real.
Does global warming exist, or is this just a liberal scare tactic?
There's no scientific consensus about what causes global warming or how it will affect our lives.
I find it extraordinary that anybody can regard global warming as climate change as a debate. Clearly, it isn't a debate.
There's no credible debate about whether it's warming and about whether it's because of human activity. That's very clear.
You have the entire climate science community pretty much on one side, and on the other side you have what must now be half a dozen mavericks who are pretending it's not happening.
It's a hoax.
A total hoax.
Total hoax. It's an outrageous lie.
Every time you address the Holocaust, you don't bring somebody in that says it didn't happen. And we're at that stage now. We have Holocaust deniers, we have climate change deniers. And to be honest, I don't think there's a great deal of difference.
Is there any doubt among scientists that global warming is occurring, that it's dangerous, and that humans are causing it to happen?
No, the debate is over.
Since losing his bid for the White House, former Vice President Al Gore has been spending most of his time on this issue, in the press, on the page, and even in your local theater.
I am Al Gore. I used to be the next president of the United States of America.
Gore says this isn't the first time we've seen the interests of big business come into conflict with such a widespread scientific consensus.
The illusion of a debate has been purchased with millions of dollars a year spent by a few of the largest and least responsible polluters who want to fool and confuse the American people.
Do you believe nicotine is not addictive?
I believe nicotine is not addictive.
I believe that nicotine is not addictive. I believe that nicotine is not addictive.
It's exactly the same thing that the tobacco companies did after the Surgeon General's report provided an end to the debate over smoking and health, and yet for decades they were able to purchase these quasi-scientists who would say things for money.
Well, can you say that you don't believe, or there is no conclusive proof that cigarettes are harmful?
I would say that.
Today, everyone knows that cigarettes are highly addictive and can cause cancer, but many believe the cause of global warming has been obscured by a disinformation campaign waged by some of the big coal and oil companies. However, it is no secret among scientists what is responsible: a gas in our atmosphere known as carbon dioxide. But what's so bad about CO2? Carbon dioxide is the most prevalent of the so-called greenhouse gases. That's the part of our atmosphere that traps the sun's rays, allowing only about 30% of the sun's heat to escape back into space. Without our natural cozy blanket of CO2, most of the sun's heat would escape, and our planet would literally freeze over. On the other hand, if you added too much carbon dioxide, the atmosphere would absorb more and more heat until the Earth began to resemble Venus. Average temperature, 900 degrees Fahrenheit. By analyzing ancient Arctic ice samples, scientists have been able to track both the temperatures and the CO2 levels going back thousands of years. This data shows periods of natural warming and cooling, but one trend is indisputable. Whenever the carbon level rises, the temperature rises as well. Fast forward a few 100,000 years to 1900, when in the middle of one of those natural warm periods, something changed. Mankind suddenly started producing massive amounts of CO2.
Today, as your program airs, we in human civilization will put up into the atmosphere of the Earth more than 70 million tons of carbon dioxide, or global warming pollution.
In one day?
In one day. Every single day.
As it has for millions of years, the planet's temperature is following the carbon dioxide level, but this time into uncharted territory.
If we look back over the last 20 years or so, 15 or thereabouts of the hottest years on record have been over that period. Virtually every year now is hotter than the previous year.
In the nation's capital, 100 degrees with humidity feels like 113.
Temperatures have hit dangerous levels from St. Louis to Memphis and from Raleigh to New York.
The first half of 2006 was the hottest ever recorded, and scientists agree that because of the CO2 already in the air, it will get hotter for at least another several decades. While that's very bad for us, it will be devastating for creatures like the penguin and the polar bear, whose habitat is literally melting away beneath their feet. New data shows that the Greenland and West Antarctic ice sheet are melting faster than anyone expected. Each holds over 600 quadrillion gallons of water and has the potential to cause a dramatic rise in sea level.
A year ago, it was thought that it would take 1,000, maybe up to 3,000 years for the Greenland ice sheet to melt. But research undertaken and published in just the last 12 months shows that the rate of melting, the rate of movement of the glaciers is accelerating so much that it could melt within a couple of centuries.
And some scientists believe that if we do not act immediately, it could be much sooner.
It could be 100 years from now, or it could be a few decades from now. And if you get even a significant fraction of that in the next half century, it's going to be big sea level changes.
If the Greenland ice sheet melts entirely, that's 20 feet of sea level rise. If the West Antarctic ice sheet collapses into the sea, that's another 20 feet of sea level rise. If both of those happen, 40 feet of sea level rise.
I think scientists perhaps have not made clear just how serious the problem is. If we go down a business as usual course, we're really talking about a different planet.
When we return, a glimpse into the world of 2100 if global warming goes unchecked.
It would wipe out a lot of civilization as we know it.